Hi everyone, I'm Nirmani Ayusha and today I'm going to discuss about how regenerative leadership can show the way out of a crisis. So, what is regenerative leadership? Today, we all live in a VUCA world where volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity are affecting both our personal and professional lives. With this challenging environment, leaders have to deal with more complex situations than before. The world is rapidly changing, and uncertainty has become a common factor, while predictions and forecasts are irrelevant when planning or decision making. The modern world with developing technologies is more complex than ever. There are lots of natural disasters, pandemic situations such as COVID-19, disruptive innovations, and also unsatisfied and stressed workforce in this ever-changing world. So, the leaders of today have a huge responsibility to adapt this complex world and be agile to change the strategies to thrive. Otherwise, leaders might fail to overcome the challenges occurred due to uncertainty. The regenerative leadership is a leadership logic which allows the leaders to establish a sustainable future while achieving the organizational goals. Sustainability and leadership expert Laura Storm once had said in TED Talks, to overcome the challenges occurred because of the uncertainty and complexity, leaders should apply the logic of life itself to how they run organizations. As per Laura Storm, the regenerative leadership is mainly about 5 principles. So, let's see what are those principles and how regenerative leaders can apply those concepts to overcome the challenges occurred during a crisis. The first principle is the regenerative leaders do everything based on life-affirming principles. A pandemic is an unexpected, more complex and challenging situation. Leaders of organizations had to face different types of challenges during this COVID-19 pandemic. During such a situation like COVID, all the leaders and employees had to adapt to the new normal condition. Almost all the employees are working from home due to the social distancing and lockdowns. With those kind of changes in business operations, leaders had to change the previously used strategies. Even though there are a lot of circumstances during a crisis, a regenerative leader can think wisely to get this as a new opportunity to try out new strategies and practices to achieve long-term benefits. For an example, organizations can reuse and recycle materials during a crisis where there can be lack of resources and economic constraints. When working under reduced costs and shrinking markets, the reuse and recycle concepts can be used with emerging technologies to gain maximum profits, and those strategic decisions will give long-term benefits as well. Not only for materials, but also this life-affirming concept is applicable for the employees as well. The regenerative leaders always let the employees to evolve and grow while improving themselves even through failures. The employee engagement in organizational activities will convince them that they are also an important part of the organization, and it will make them alive and satisfied. Leaders can schedule virtual meetings daily and listen to their thoughts, suggestions, and any challenges when they are working from home. Then, as a team, all can discuss solutions for the challenges that everyone is facing during a crisis. Another important factor is that the employees should not be pressurized because it may cause low productivity. The leaders should think about the well-being of the employees as well. For that, the organizations should be responsible for the financial stability and job security, safety during a pandemic situation. Then the employees also can face the crisis situations without fear and stress. Then, with a peaceful mindset, they can provide their maximum effort to achieve the company goals as a team. Organizing training programs, learning and development programs virtually can also motivate the employees. Apart from that, organizing mind-relaxing activities such as meditation can improve the mental health, and finally, the employees are getting more satisfied even during a crisis. And with the motivated mindset, they can provide a quality and productive service to the organization. So, that's all about how regenerative leaders can apply life-affirming circular principles during a crisis. Second regenerative leadership principle is that the life is ever-changing and responsive. There is a famous saying by Albert Einstein, and it is, "Measure of intelligence is the ability to change." So, more wiser the leaders are, more flexible to change. Everything is constantly changing and nothing is permanent. Nowadays, uncertainty is the most challenging factor for leaders. When it comes to a pandemic situation such as COVID-19, most of the business operations, organizational structures, and strategies have to be changed according to the new normal condition. For an example, employees are working from home, and when decision making, the organizational structure has become centralized, where individual leaders have to make quick decisions. Most of the organizations do not like to change their practices, strategies because of the fear to change. But a regenerative leader is always flexible in changing according to the situation. They do not hesitate to respond to the ever-changing world. They are willing to go for new strategies and use their wisdom to overcome the challenges during a crisis. A responsive system is much faster and effective. For an example, we can take the agile methodology, which is highly used for software development in IT companies, where the responding to change principle is used in a larger scale. As per Agile Manifesto, self-organizing teams is another important factor when responding to changes. The self-organizing teams are skilled and motivated, who take ownerships without waiting for managers, and they have decision-making power, who communicate regularly with other team members in order to provide quick and effective service. They are prioritizing their work while managing timelines by their own. During a pandemic situation such as COVID-19, where employees are working remotely, those principles can be applied to achieve the maximum productivity. Then, employees can work as individuals with minimum supervision while communicating each other using trending technologies such as Microsoft Teams and Zoom applications. So, when there are self-organized teams, responding to changes will be more easier, and with the quick responses, the organizations can achieve more profits and sustainability even during a crisis. Then let's move to the third principle. The third principle is that the life is relational and interconnected. Everything in life is relational and interconnected. There is a famous saying of Charles Darwin, and that is, "It is not the strongest species that survive, nor the most intelligent, but the ones most able to adapt to change." So, the species that have been here for a long time, they have been interconnected, and those relationships made them survive for a long time period, even though there were many disasters arisen. Similar to the nature, when it comes to organizations, they also can thrive when they are interconnected and by establishing win-to-win relationships between different organizations. Sometimes the organizations might think that when they are strong, then they could fit into any change in environment. However, in order to establish the long-term sustainability, organizations should interconnect and build strong relationships with other parties. The adaptability to rapid change in environment is not based on the organization's size or strength. It depends on how much they are interconnected and relational. The regenerative leaders encourage to have win-to-win goals with whom they are interconnected. It means when they win, the partners will win as well, the ecosystem. For an example, when we get something from the ecosystem, we need to give back to the ecosystem as well. Most of the time, organizations try to give and do good to the society and ecosystem by engaging with corporate social responsibility activities. Especially in COVID-19 pandemic, organizations should be interconnected and should have a strong relationship to overcome the challenges may occur during the crisis. For an example, as per one of the articles from McKinsey, the two companies, McDonald's and Aldi, initiated a staff sharing plan so that interested McDonald's workers from temporarily closed branches can redeploy at Aldi stores to ensure that the retailer can meet the currently increased customer demand. Supporting local communities while linking these efforts back to company values is exemplified by companies delivering free, fresh meals to medical workers in the cities they serve. Similarly, sustainable footwear company Allbirds is giving free shoes to healthcare workers, and pharmacies and drugstores are also gearing up to donate space in their parking lots for medical testing. The Alibaba Foundation has donated medical supplies to 14 countries in Asia and the United States, and will also be publishing a digital handbook to share learnings from the COVID-19 experience in China. Tableau Software has developed a free data resource hub using case data compiled by leading educational and government research organizations to help stakeholders see and understand coronavirus data in near real time. LinkedIn, through employee referrals, is providing free access to its premium features for a designated period of time to help employees at small businesses cope with the economic downturn. So those are the examples that how organizations were interconnected with customers and other organizations to serve the society during a pandemic situation. And those kind of services supported the both organizations and community or customers to survive during COVID-19. Then, the next principle of regenerative leadership is life is diverse. The third principle, the interconnectedness is also a part of diverse. Relationships and the components of the ecosystem has to be diverse. The researchers show again and again that the life thrives on diversity. For an example, as per the study done by McKinsey in 2015, where they interviewed 360 publicly listed companies and found out that those with the greatest levels of diversity constantly outperformed with those with the low levels of diversity. But in organizations, there is a monocultural corporate, the culture where managers keep hiring people that from same cultural background and same educational background, which they feel nice and safe. But regenerative leaders, they go out of their way and hire people from different educational backgrounds and cultural backgrounds, and they know that it's the unconventional minds that will infuse the entity in the organization. They also know that diversity can bring in tension, but at the end of the day, it can establish creativity, wisdom, and it's a matter of how we deal with that tension. When cultures collide, and if we do that respectfully, we are set up for success. When diversity is there, the creative thinking is high. Diversity is a bigger talent pool. When there is a diversity in the workforce, leaders can find various kinds of talents, skills, or abilities among them. One of the researches done by McKinsey, quarterly on diversity still matters, describes that when companies invest in diversity and inclusion, they are in a better position to create more adaptive, effective teams and more likely to recognize diversity as a competitive advantage. As Jennifer Flock said in her diversity and inclusion article, diversity has become much more important than ever during this COVID-19 crisis. Leaders of the organizations have to face different types of challenges during the COVID-19, the unexpected crisis. The decisions must be taken quickly during a crisis situation because leaders should adapt to the rapid change in situations. Quick and smart solutions should be produced in order to achieve the profits during a crisis with reduced costs and resources. For that, organizations need balanced teams who are better at solving complex problems, managing risk, and spotting new opportunities. The creative and innovative ideas are generated when diverse is there in the teams. The thinking pattern, skills, and abilities can be varied according to the education background or cultural background. Therefore, the regenerative leaders always prefer diverse when recruiting employees with the expectation of innovation and creativity, which can bring long-term benefits to the organization. Now, we have come to the last principle of regenerative leadership, and that is, life is cyclical and seasonal. We all are cyclical beings living on a cyclical planet. We have the seasons, the nights, and the days. This principle of nature is applicable for our lives as well. Even a crisis is also not happening every day. There is an interval after the crisis. There is a flow of action, silence, then reflect. During a crisis, the leaders should not be aggressive when get out of the crisis, because more strength is needed for the next crisis. There should be some breathing space before the next crisis. But most of the organizational cultures are created to be in constant loop of spring and summer. Organizations are sharing good ideas to the market, launching products and expect best results constantly. And the cycle is repeatedly happening without any break. But it could lead the stakeholders fed up when keeping on launching products repeatedly. However, the regenerative leaders encourage the incorporated silence, and it is not only for the businesses but also for the employees in the organizations. Working constantly without a break may cause less productivity. Because of that, regenerative leaders encourage breaks, meditations while making sure the growth and to share new products or ideas to the market. Instead of pushing and going forward with new ideas, they create an environment where employees can learn, integrate, and apply what they have researched to be more innovative. It will be more helpful during a crisis where there should be creative solutions available for the unexpected challenges. So, that is how regenerative leadership support to overcome challenges during a crisis. So far, we have discussed about the 5 principles of regenerative leadership and how those principles help leaders, employees, and ultimately overall society to overcome the challenges during a crisis. Finally, as a conclusion, we can say the regenerative leaders are creating vibrant and thriving cultures, and also they are working to accelerate the business outcomes through creative and innovative strategies. In this ever-changing world, leaders require something radical to respond to unexpected challenges during a crisis. The leaders should be a listener or facilitator rather than pressurizing team to work. As regenerative leaders are encouraging diverse and motivating the subordinates to learn and grow, then they may feel more comfortable at their work and it will enhance their productivity. The organizations need leaders who take care of both inner resources and outer resources. With the knowledge and experience gathered by interconnecting and maintaining good relationships, the regenerative leaders can make long-term wise strategic decisions while seeing the big picture of the organization. Finally, we can say, with the regenerative principles, we can build a working culture where we can start choosing life and infuse everything we do with life. Thank you.